What's going on, y'all? Back at it with another video. A lot of you guys like my little instructional videos. This one's gonna be kind of like the same kind of thing, a little bit of instruction. But before we go into the workout, I wanted to kind of talk on my prep and how it's going so far. So I think this is week number 3 in total of my actual contest prep. So we are 13 weeks out from junior nationals, or about 14 and a half, but whatever. So I'm actually really happy with how I'm looking, kind of starting point wise, as well as kind of like seeing the changes that have already been happening. So I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of how I'm looking. If you guys follow me on Instagram, y'all have probably seen these already. But this is kind of a comparison. This was me, I think, 10 days out from my last show I did in November versus kind of like how I am starting point wise. So if you look there, obviously a lot tighter on the left, but on the right, like, we're still holding good shape. We have some abs, so I'm really happy. Like, putting those two together, that picture on the left, that like the one right before the show, was one of my favorite looks I've ever had. So kind of being in the same kind of boat, you know, not being too far off that is really, really positive. And then here is me in my latest check-in, which was last Friday. You can see I have like a regular front pose as well as kind of a relaxed front pose, kind of side pose. That was last Friday, like I said, and then my coach Ariel, I'll put his little Instagram handle there, that'll pop up. So he is a phenomenal coach, like honestly one of the best. So he decided to put our foot on the gas a little bit, and he made some changes. So we upped my cardio a little bit, and we added in some other stuff, and then we didn't really make any adjustments to food, but we are ramping up the intensity a little bit. So I can already feel some changes coming just from that. So we're definitely headed in the right direction. So I'm really, really excited to see how I kind of transform throughout the next 14 weeks, as well as what we bring to the stage in Tennessee. So other than that, we have a show coming up with some of my clients. I have 4 clients competing at the Houston Tournament of Champions on April 3rd. I'm gonna have Peter there, so there'll be a video on that, so you guys can kind of see what it's like for me to be coaching clients versus just competing and training. So that'll be kind of a different little avenue of insight into my life and what I do with my clients, for my clients, and the coaching aspect of things. So if you guys, I'm gonna use this opportunity to plug my coaching. If you guys are looking for a coach, go ahead and fill out my contact form. I'll put a little link here, put my website title there. It's www.teamdsf.com. There's a contact form. Once you fill out the contact form, I will reach out to you personally and see if we're a good match. If you guys wanna transform, compete, whatever your goals are this summer, hit me up, let's go to work. So with all that being said, we're about to get our lift on. We got shoulders today, so that's one area that you have to have in order to compete. So we're gonna make sure that we hammer those shoulders, so let's get it. Okay, so first exercise we're gonna do here is going to be a pre-exhaust movement for your rear delts. So whenever you're training shoulders, a lot of people neglect the rear delts. So this is one movement that I really like to do just to warm up the delts, get some blood in there, and that way we're not just going and try to press a really heavy weight afterwards. So what we're gonna do here is 4 rounds of 12 to 15 reps. I try not to think about, you know, like being too committed to a rep range, because if I can hit 15 here, and like I have more in the tank, I'll eke out 16, 17, 18, right? So pick a weight that you kind of can hit between 12 and 15, but if you can go more, okay? So on this guy, what I want y'all to do is make sure that the cable is positioned not too high, because the higher it is, the more it's gonna be back. So like I said, we wanna focus on that rear delt, so I want it to be almost parallel with your nose. That way you're pulling horizontally instead of kind of more vertically, okay? So on this guy, put the wrist out, and then go to work. Rolling. All right, next exercise is going to be a Smith machine shoulder press. So one of my like bread and butter things for growing your shoulders is going to be pressing. Do not stray away from pressing. You can do as many side raises, front raises, rear delt flies, whatever you want, but they will not grow the same way without a press. But one thing I want to put like emphasis on is find a press that works for you, whether it's a machine press, a Smith machine press, dumbbell press. Like for me, I hate dumbbell pressing. It puts a lot of stress on my elbows, a lot of stress on my wrists. So I find the Smith machine is really good, or machine press. So I kind of throw those two in and out depending on the week. So what we're gonna do is a Smith machine behind the neck press. So if you're a beginner, maybe stay away from this movement and go just in the front of the face to your chin. So behind the neck press, I'm gonna hit 4 rounds, 10 to 12 reps, may go a little bit heavier depending on how we're feeling. But this guy is gonna be our main movement to get as much blood into the shoulders as possible. All right, so I was saying that I felt good about some of these changes, and the first thing I can always see are these little calf veins that come out right here. So once those start coming out, I know that we're on the right track. So we're getting there. They're not as nasty as they can be, but we're getting there. So considering we're 14 weeks out, I'm feeling pretty good. So anyways, our next exercise is going to be a side lateral raise. So we're gonna hit sets of 20 on this one. So I try not to go too heavy, especially when I get deeper in prep. I don't want to get injured. Shoulders are really small muscle groups, so I'm all about the feel, right? So we're gonna hit sets of 20 with 25 pounds. So we're gonna get into it and make sure you stay nice and controlled. Really feel it. Don't just fling weight up. If you're just flinging weight but you can't feel it, go down a little bit, take the ego out. I promise you, no one will say anything to you if you have big shoulders. They feel heavy. Okay, so we've done something for rear delts. We've done a pressing movement, which kind of hits a little bit of everything, mainly medial and front delt. And we've hit our medial delt with the side raises. Now we're gonna focus in on that front delt. I don't do a ton of front delt just because it gets worked doing chest, as well as some other things that you're doing throughout the week. So what I'm gonna do is just a plate raise. You've probably seen people do these with a barbell, dumbbell, a cable, tons of different ways to do it. I like to do it with a plate just because I feel the maximum load at the top. And then kind of like you control it back down. So I have a 35-pound plate. You can do a 25, a 10, depending on kind of your fitness level. But all you're gonna do is come straight up to your face, back down. So we're gonna hit 15 reps. Again, 4 rounds. We're doing 4 rounds of everything today. So straight up and back down, let's go. Man, I just hate when like big things feel heavy, you know? Like this is 35 pounds, like it should not feel this heavy. But sometimes you gotta tell yourself like, don't be a bitch. So that's what we're gonna do. So don't be a bitch. All right, so Peter's asked me when I started cutting, and I just about slapped him because I've been cutting for 2 weeks now. Literally started this whole video being like, yeah, like here are the changes so far, blah, blah, blah. Peter's like, when did you start cutting? Anyways, so I have been cutting for like 2 weeks. I think I maybe touched on it in another video, but if not, kind of what Ariel, my coach, has done so far is from off season to now, we've only made changes to 2 meals, and that's my 5th meal and my last meal. So my last meal has no carbs. It's basically a protein shake and some peanut butter. And my 5th meal is beef and chicken, so 4 ounces of beef, 4 ounces of chicken, and then it was 280 grams of rice, and now it's 160. So not a huge change so far, which is fine. So the only changes have really been supplement-wise and cardio-wise. So I'm doing 30 minutes of cardio already, which is kind of high for me, considering last year the most I did was 35. So not that, you know, not complaining or anything, it's all part of it, but my food is still really high, so that's a good thing. So But right now, that's really the only super big changes we've made. And considering I'm still seeing some changes and feeling harder, feeling fuller, feeling tighter, those are all good things. So basically, we're 14 weeks out. I think we're gonna try and get ready ahead of time. And when you're ready ahead of time, basically like you can have more of those fun foods. So if you see like bodybuilders eating, you know, burgers or sushi or something, it's because they're kind of already ready. So I kind of like that approach. I kind of suffer early, and it kind of takes the stress off of like, you know, feeling worrying if you're gonna be ready or not when show day comes. So if I'm ready kind of 3 or 4 weeks out and I'm kind of feeding and kind of having to hold on to it, I feel more comfortable doing that versus being like, holy shit, like I got 4 days to look the best that I can. So me and Ariel kind of on the same page about that. So I'm really excited to see how the finished product looks, but you know, 14 weeks is still a long time. And like I said in the beginning of the video, like considering I'm 14 weeks out, I feel really good, like really good. And I'm hoping like once show day comes and we can kind of like look back on this clip and be like, damn, he was right. He was feeling good. So, you know, like hopefully just translates to, you know, the performance on stage. So we'll see how we do in 14 weeks. We clear? Okay, Peter always looks at me like I'm fucking crazy, because like he just points the camera at me and like there's no red button or anything on the other side. Okay, so like if y'all like see some weird transitions where I'm like waiting, that's why. Okay, so our next exercise is a rear delt fly on the pec deck, right? So this is probably one of my favorite exercises for the rear delts. I have like decent rear delts, I like to think. If y'all go and roast me in the comments, feel free, but I like to think I've got pretty good rear delts, and honestly most of it is from this movement here and doing it correctly. So the biggest thing I want y'all to point out is not to come back too far here. So I see some people like reverse clapping almost. You basically just want to come out to a T. So once you're here, there's no need to go past here because that's just wasted movement, okay? So the other thing I want y'all to focus on is position yourself efficiently in the chair. So what I do is I make sure that my chin can rest on the pad as well as my arms are even with our handles here. So if you look here, I'm here, my chin's on the pad, and I can drive back here, okay? So keep a slight bend in those elbows too. Again, it's kind of like that clapping thing. I don't want you coming here to here. Have a slight bend in that elbow and think about driving the hand outwards. So I want you here to here and squeeze. Biggest thing on this one is going to be the squeeze, okay? Without the squeeze on any of these movements are wasted, okay? So we're going to go 4 rounds again, 15 again, focus on that squeeze, and then we got one more movement after this, and then that's it. We've made it. So final exercise is going to be a standing military press. If you watched my last shoulder video with Ricky, we did this one as well. Like I said earlier, I don't really like seated dumbbell press, and I love this just because it like kind of forces you to keep your core tight, and it kind of like is just a way to force out those last few reps. So honestly, I don't really have a rep range in mind. I'm literally gonna go till failure for 4 rounds, see how that is. I'm gonna try and shoot for as many as I can. Honestly, I don't know if it's gonna be 10 reps, 20 reps, 30 reps, whatever. So like I said, failure each rep, let's get it. Do not leave any reps left in the tank. All right, so that's today's workout. Done, wrapped up, completed. Hopefully you take some of those tips and can integrate them into your shoulder routines. I'm honestly fried. Like, today was kind of the first workout where I felt kind of like I'm in prep, which is good. Means I'm kind of like burning through what I need to, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping the scale will reflect that. And I'm hoping that we see some good progress. So I've been a little more active with my prep and such on my Instagram. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Instagram. My name is David Short Fitness on there. And if you guys have any questions regarding diet, training, nutrition, drop a comment down below, or message me on Instagram, or fill out my contact form on teamdsf.com, and we'll get to work. But for now, I'm probably gonna run to Best Buy in a minute. I'm gonna try and get a vlog camera for myself. That way I can show you guys some insight of, like, you know, my morning check-ins, me cooking, some other stuff that where, you know, Peter doesn't have to follow me around all the time. So I'll try and send those clips to Peter and have a little more all-encompassing video. That way it's not just training footage or, you know, whatever it may be. So again, comment on what you like, comment what you don't. I appreciate y'all's feedback. Appreciate you guys following. We're 14 weeks out, so no time to slack off. We're trying to get it. See y'all in the next one.